There's power in your name. Power in your name. McDonald's is a last name. Abercrombie and Fitch, last names. Armani is a last name. Baskin Robbins is a last name. Chrysler is a last name. Fisher Price, Gucci, Hennessy, Harley Davidson, Hilton, Honda, Kohl's, Kraft Foods, Lowe's Movie Theater, Marriott is a last name. Maybach is a last name. Nordstrom is a last name. Pillsbury is a last name. Porsche is a last name. Procter and Gamble, two last names. Rolls Royce, Charles Rolls, Henry Royce, last names. Turner Broadcast System, Ted Turner, last name. Versace, last name. Wells Fargo, Henry Wells, William Fargo, last name. Walgreens, last name. Wrigley's, last name. Welch's Grape Juice, last name. Here you are, you think you're buying a product. You are not buying a product, you're buying a name. You think you're wearing a product. Hey, look at this product. No, you're saying, look at this family. And what you don't know is while you're making every family rich, you're making yourself broke. So you done went to one family called Wells Fargo and got $200,000 so you can go to another family called Rolls Royce so you can give them money and get yourself a car so you can go back to the hood and see the Joneses and say, look at what I got. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo, their family's sitting up being rich, and Harley Davidsons and Rolls Royce are being rich, and the Joneses are sitting there holding up people's stuff saying, look at what we did and we broke. What if I told you that your blessing is attached to your name? That part of the reason why you're not wealthy yet is because you keep trying to make Yolanda wealthy. You keep trying to make Tasha wealthy. What if you made Johnson's wealthy? What if you started thinking about your kids? What if you started thinking about your legacy? What if God started dropping Canaan and opening up windows of heaven? Because now you're not just thinking about you, you're thinking kingdom. There are some people who are attached to you who are saying, Mama, can you do something with this name? There's some people who are saying, Dad, can you do something with this name? Maybe God gave you the name to change and reverse some of the stuff that the name meant one day. I wish there was somebody in this room that said my name might mean one thing right now, but I promise after today, this name get ready to change. I promise after today, everybody's going to want my last name. I'm here to let you know you are a curse breaker. You're thinking kingdom. You are not just getting married, you're breaking a curse. You are not just graduating from college, you're breaking a curse. You are not just getting out of high school, you're breaking a curse. You are not just saved, you're breaking a curse. And everybody around you is about to be blessed because of what God's getting ready to do in your life.
Woo! Oh, yeah. Rise and shine, familia. Good morning. Good morning. Had to start the day off with a little bit of fire, right? What is the legacy that you are going to leave? If you haven't paid attention, a lot of the big brands that we all like, that we follow, that we trust, that we respect, believe it or not, their last names, right? Procter and Gamble, Rolls Royce, right? Some of the cars that we're driving, Ferrari, all of these different things that we look at, most of the times were built upon somebody's last name. So my goal for you guys to really get you thinking is, how do you want your last name to go ahead and be remembered? So great topic coming in for you guys today. But before we go ahead and dive into this brand new month, fresh start, new goals, new energy, let's go ahead and drop down your gratitude, right? What are you grateful for coming in for today? Grateful for God, grateful to be healthy, grateful to be alive. We're actually doing some yard work yesterday and almost lost my finger, but we're still alive. So we're doing well. So nonetheless, grateful for the momentum, grateful for all the breakthroughs and the break frees that I've been seeing from each and every single one of you. I see you plugging in. I see you filling up your notes. This is a month where I believe you're going to have double the blessings, double the success flowing to and through you. But it's going to take a couple different things, right? You're going to have to, in order to have double the blessing success, we're going to have to double a couple things on the other side of the spectrum. And that's a little bit what I want to talk about today. What is one of the biggest reasons that most individuals don't go out and leave a legacy? They don't actually go out and hit their goals. Somebody go ahead and drop it down below. What's your guess? What do you think? What do you think is one of the biggest major reasons that most individuals don't actually achieve what it is that they're looking for? Let's see. Here's my answer for you. You ready? My answer First off, is going to be we don't trust ourselves, right? I believe why most experience extreme lack in their life is because they don't trust themselves, and we have a major lack of self-esteem. So today, I want to actually go ahead and run back through memory lane so you guys can get a little bit of me, why it is I am the way I am. Why do I have the passion? Why do I have the drive? And why is it so easy for me to relate to most of you that are going through similar issues? Okay, so before we go ahead and take a blast through the past, through memory lane, I want to give you guys a visual that we've actually been getting for the past couple months, right, from one of our mentors, Sean. And this, honestly, this changed the game for me because it allows you to be able to see it and visualize your life, how you're actually perceiving it and how you're going about every day, right? So let's go ahead and think about this for a second. Picture on stage, right? A massive stage where you can fit 500 to 1,000 people in the audience, and there's two individuals standing backstage. Both individuals are you, and there's a curtain and nobody can see them. On the right side is the individual that lacks confidence. On the other side is the individual that truly understands their self-awareness and has a true level of self-confidence for themselves. So what does the individual look like that has lack? They probably have their shoulders slouch. They're probably speaking with not a lot of voice inflection. They're probably very monotone as they start to come out, right? They don't have a lot of energy when they're giving off their speech. But now if we look on the other side, what does the you look like that does have instilled confidence, that does truly believe in themselves? Do they have their shoulders back? Are they speaking with posture? Are they speaking with confidence? Do they have voice inflection as they start to go out and give their speech? Well, I want you to think about yourself today, because the truth is, every day that we wake up, we have a choice to either step into one of these individuals, and the choice is yours. So going back for me 4 or 5 years ago, that I had multiple situations where I had an extreme self-loss of esteem, confidence, right? And I'll go ahead and role play. And if you go back and actually look at my last Instagram post, I talked about it, right? I talked about the vulnerabilities that I had to go through as I started my entrepreneurship journey, right? A couple things. I've been a freak athlete my whole life, right? Ever since I was 4 years old, as soon as I was born, my father had an idea of what is the easiest way that my son could go pro. And one of the first things he did was he thought about being a kicker for football, right? What's easier than just having to kick a ball through a field goal and just having to have a mental state where you can handle thousands of people watching you. So for a lot of my life, that's all I did was sports. And that was my goal, was to be a professional athlete. So you name it, I probably did it, whether it was track, basketball, baseball, football. For 12 years old, I actually played on ESPN for the Little League World Series as Team USA. So when it comes to getting in front of a lot of people and being in front of a big crowd, that's not something that was new to me. What was new to me was honestly getting to a point where my athleticism was stripped away from me. So my whole life, that's how people knew me, was for being honestly a supernatural athlete. And here's what ended up happening. When I was in college, as I was playing sports, I actually ended up breaking my collarbone, right? As random as could be. I had never broken a bone in my life. And here I am with these goals to possibly be able to play overseas or take it to the next level. And one day, my athleticism was stripped, right? Not to mention, I'm actually a right-handed athlete. It was my right side. So it's not like my shoulder just popped out. I actually broke my collarbone. I had to get a plate and 6 screws. And if anybody knows me, I don't like needles. I don't like surgeries. So this is one of the scariest times for me in my life. I had to learn how to rewrite and do everything with my left hand. A lot of us, we don't even think about it. When you actually break something on your right side, everything that you do on your left side, what does your body have to do with everything that we experience? It has to counteract one side to balance out the other. So I had to, even though I had to learn everything with my left side, it was still difficult because I had to still use the weight of my right. So my whole life became a mess. Going to sleep was difficult. Eating was difficult. Going to the bathroom, taking a shower was a struggle for me. And when I tell you, my whole arm, my whole right side turned into a twig, right? My whole arm was the size of my wrist because I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't do any physical activity for literally like 4 or 5 months. So I went from working out every single day, multiple times a day, to not being able to eat right, to going through extreme depression, right? And honestly, it was one of the worst times in my life. But here's what you'll notice a lot of greats end up saying. Sometimes your biggest setback ends up leading to your biggest comeback, because that's where the real lessons are learned. That's where the real gratitude is had. So here's what happened. Not only did I end up pretty much losing my athletic career, I lost my sister to cancer at the same time, right? All the people that were around me were getting out and going into great jobs, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm 30K in debt. I just broke up with my girlfriend for multiple years in college. So this was one of the lowest points I've ever been at in my life. So when a lot of you tell me that you're going through things, right, you might be having to move, your family doesn't believe in you, all of these things seems like they're going wrong, like it's Murphy's Law. I can tell you I've been there. So this is honestly a reason why I've been able to be so consistent, because I understand the power of seeing others go through not only something that I've been through that seemed like it was a lot, but I watched my mentors go through even more than what I went through. So that's what always gave me the confidence to understand, if somebody else can go through so much worse, why can't we be able to get through our situation? Because we're still breathing, we're still standing for a reason. So your self-esteem, your self-confidence. The first thing I know when it comes to really getting back your self-esteem, you've got to be able to paint a story, paint a vision for yourself that's greater than where you're at right now. Even though I was broke, even though I was sleeping out of my car and I had no money in my account, I know there's two reasons why people change, right? And this was nothing I put on my post. You're either going to change for desperation or you're going to change for inspiration. I was actually both, right? I was inspired by seeing others that were my age. I saw people like some of our mentors that we have now, they were making in a day what I was making in a year. So that inspired me a little bit. On the second side, I was desperate. I got tired of sleeping in my car. I got tired of eating dollar foods. I got tired of sleeping in the showers of LA Fitness. So I knew if nothing changed, nothing changed. I was still going to be in the same spot 6 months to a year from then. So my goal for you guys is to really think about where you're at right now. What have you already gone through that at one point in time you didn't think you were going to make it past? Because some of you thought that situation was there to break you. In fact, those situations were there to make you. I would never be where I'm at if I didn't have to go through those hardships, if I didn't have to develop the discipline and the courage to be able to handle situations like that, to now where in the future other ones come up, but I've been able to experience it at a different level. So that's the first thing I want to talk about for self-esteem. The next thing I want to get into is there's two pieces of it. You ready? There's two pieces that can put us at a disadvantage when it comes to self-esteem, and it's internally and externally. So if you can understand both of these, this is where the magic happens. Okay, so our internal self-esteem, it starts with pretty much 5 things. You ready? What are the values that you have for yourself? What are your beliefs? What are your ideas? What are your practices? And what are your behavior, right? When I was broke, when I was going through all of these different things, at one point, I didn't think there was an abundant life out there for me. In fact, I was blaming everybody and everyone around me for what was going on in my life, until I finally realized, you know what? Excuses only sound best to those that make them. I could keep blaming the world. I keep blaming God for why everything was happening in my life, until I started to understand that I am in control of my situation. I'm actually able to not just be a product of my circumstances, but be able to make my circumstances a product of my decisions, right? So I didn't have to stay stuck. I didn't have to stay beating myself up for months at a time. I was able to make a change and give myself new value. I started to understand that even though I'm not where I want to be, I can be a person of value. I can be a person to show somebody else when they go through the same scenario, that if I could do it, why couldn't they do it as well? You see, when I got started, I didn't do this for the individuals that were already making a lot of money to go out and make more. That didn't excite me. To be honest, I did it for the exact opposite reason, for the underdog story, for those that didn't have a lot, that didn't come from much, that maybe came from homes where you suffered from alcoholism or your parents were fighting all the time and you didn't come from money. That's the story that I like to see others grow from, because that's where the true development really comes from. So values, beliefs, right? What is the belief that you have for yourself, even though you're not where you want to be right now? I got so serious about this that I went to the store, I bought a $1.99 notebook in it, and I wrote, I'm blessed and grateful that I'm a millionaire by 25. Some of you that come to my house, you can actually see it. I have it in one of my notebooks, but this was real. I was able to believe in myself in something that hadn't happened physically yet. And the last 3 for internal is going to be your ideas, practices, and behaviors. You see, you don't have to have a lot of money to be able to get your behaviors and your practices and your ideas in check, right? Even though I didn't have money, I was still able to work on my body. I was still able to take the time to start learning, okay, I'm not great at meditating yet, but I want to learn to have a peace of mind, because I understand you could have all the abundance in the world, but if you don't have the peace of mind first, everything is irrelevant. So one of the first books that I went out and I read to really shift all 5 of these was The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. And it showed me that there's 2 types of people: someone that chases the currency or someone that chases the legacy. And from that first 3-minute excerpt that I have from this morning, you'll see that in order to leave a legacy, the only way to really have your last name ring is to truly care about people, is to really have a fulfilling feeling of giving back to others and seeing others succeed. So the first half is internal. The second half that affects our self-esteem is going to be external, right? What are the messages that's in our environment? What are we hearing verbally? What are we seeing non-verbally on a daily basis, right? What are the life experience that's happening all around you? And for me, these are all things that greatly affected me at the beginning until I understood that, guess what's more important? What do you think is more important to your self-esteem? The internal or the external? Because here's what I know. Jim Rohn says it best. He says the same wind blows on us all. The difference is how we're able to go ahead and direct our sails. So what does that mean? That means we all go through the mess, the noise, the hardships of life, but the difference is, how are you able to direct your sail and use that wind to propel you forward, to allow you to grow? So my whole life growing up, right, my parents, on one side was an alcoholic. So for me, I dealt with arguing my whole life, always being in a household where I wasn't even comfortable even being home. So to me, to be able to have a peace of mind, even be still, that was something I struggled with for a long time. But until I got old enough and realized it doesn't matter what happens externally. You could have a hurricane going outside, but why can somebody still have peace of mind? Because they've mastered the internal side, no matter what happens externally. Some things are going to be out of our control externally. But if you can learn to handle yourself internally, this is where the true master of self-awareness begins. Okay? So to go ahead and end it off, I want you to go ahead and think about a couple different things, right? Here's the truth about your self-esteem. There's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be like you're just going to be able to wake up one day and you're feeling completely abundant. This is going to be something that you're going to have to practice day in and day out. Why? Because every day is a new day. Every day you're going to have new thoughts, new emotions, new experience that enter your mind, and we have a decision on whether we can either react or we can be proactive towards that decision. So these are all things that I've had to learn along the way, sometimes the hard way, but here's what I know. The idea that you either have a good self-esteem or you don't is not true, right? The truth is we can go out and create it, but it starts with being intentional on what we're listening to, who we're around, the thoughts that we're thinking on a daily basis. And I can promise you, once you get your self-esteem in check, once you understand your worth, once you understand what you truly bring to the table, this is when the world will move out of your way. Why? Because you start to take action. You start to use your voice. People start to actually understand who you are and what it is that you bring to the table. So with that being said, if nobody told you you are worthy, you do deserve the world, you are going after your greatness, but I need you to go ahead and meet me halfway with the decision, because I'm telling you, it is already done if you can believe in yourself. So family, I love you. It's your favorite entrepreneur, Define Dreams. You can be, do, or have anything that you can hold in your mind. You can hold it right here in your hand. And I promise you, the world is waiting to give you everything. If you're willing to ask, it shall be given. Love you, family. Let's grow. It's game time.